Welcome back to Australia Mania. It is the only wrestling podcast called Australia Mania. I'm your host, Ricki, and as always, joined by Michael Thompson. How are you, sir?
Going very well, Rick. Good to see you again.
Yes, good to see you again. And, as always, now joined by David Young. How you doing, man?
Good moment. How are you, friend?
I'm good.
I'm
very good.
You look
friend.
so excited.
I'm angry with you. I hope you know that. I'm mad at you right now.
Unless you come to the table with facts, you haven't disputed anything I've said.
Okay, well,
anything.
All right, so
I've got some facts for you, mate.
We have been okay. So me and David were waiting on Michael to show up. There was a bit of traffic, and he was.
You gotta love race day in Melbourne.
Oh, it's always good. Slightly delayed. So me and David were outside the studio having a chat, waiting for Michael to show up.
A chat or disagreements?
Well, any
it was a chat for me.
Any conversation I feel I have with David at the moment is a bit of a disagreement because he said some inflammatory things that hurt me in my soul.
Argue me otherwise.
Can we just get into this? Like,
do you want to jump right into it?
Yes, we can.
Do you want to? Are you happy to do that, Michael?
You want to introduce the segment?
All right. So do you want to give us a bit of give the listeners a bit of backstory as to what has transpired today on our little group chat that we go through before we do a podcast?
This is surfaced in the last 2 hours.
Yes. This is just there's been some inflammatory remarks made about Chris Jericho.
Can we before we do?
Yes.
Yang called this the hashtag Yang Bomb.
Yeah.
This is the Yang Bomb.
The Yang Bomb was dropped about 2 hours ago.
The Yang Bomb or the Yang Bomb?
Or we can call this my blasphemous bits.
The Yang Bomb dropped 2 hours before we actually got in studio this afternoon.
Yeah. So tell everyone why.
I'm very vocal about this.
I can tell. You're always vocal about everything, but God damn it, you just won't. Okay. Michael, go. Just tell them what's going on.
So Yang has decided to just drop a message saying Chris Jericho is not the greatest main eventer in pro wrestling because apparently he needed Omega. Omega didn't need Jericho.
That's the basis.
That's what you said.
Yeah,
That's what you told us. But I was not happy. Ricky was not happy. We were both not happy with you.
Let me repreface it.
Okay.
Chris Jericho has never been anything more than a transitional champion.
That is a lie.
I cannot believe that for a second.
Transitional world champion.
That is
throughout his. I will concede the point that when he beat Rock and Stone Cold on the one night was the one time they looked at Chris Jericho and said, "Yep. We can call you our number one main event guy."
Do I start or
since then?
Okay. Keep going.
Since then,
oh god,
he might have had notable feuds and extreme success in the upper mid card, but when it came down to at the end of the day, from the pool of guys they had, and said we need to have that closeout show, that number one match, our go-to guys that we're going to call the main event and let them run a feud. Chris Jericho might have been in the top 5 discussion. He has never been the number one guy that they said to themselves, let's strap the belt on him and get something out of this for the long haul.
You go.
All right, I'll start.
Yeah,
so,
please.
Some of the facts that I could bring into this conversation right now is that
I would just like to point out that I don't have a laptop in front of me. This is not fair. I can't spout dot for dot.
Well,
mine's barely working.
To be fair, I don't have any facts on my laptop. This is all from muscle memory, from watching wrestling for as long as I have personally.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm going to say is that you're wrong on all accounts. I think that Jericho and Omega...
I'm not wrong. I just feel like you could just disagree.
I disagree, because Jericho and Omega...
Him disagreeing would indicate that you are wrong.
No, there's no wrong and right. There's no wrong and right, guys.
Jericho and Omega were meant to fight each other in the latter part of Jericho's career, only because Jericho believes that it was the right time to fight Kenny Omega in a match. Am I right?
Okay.
That's my first point.
All right.
My second point is we're going to go back to WCW, where Jericho was underutilized in WCW. He was the Cruiserweight champion. He was the TV champion. He should have had a World Championship title in pace. Like, if they were smart enough, and WCW wanted to keep the Lion Soul, or they wanted to keep him there, they should have put the world title on him when he was hot, when he had the feud with Dean Malenko in 1997 and 1998. He also had a feud with Goldberg backstage, which could have culminated in a world title match. That would have been the best way to... Now, we're going to move forward to when he came to WWE in 1999.
Am I going to talk?
I'm not done yet.
All right.
So, the match against Triple H, I think it was a pretty dick move on WWE's behalf because they wanted to keep Jericho. They put the title on him for 15 minutes, and then he got stripped of the title. That, my friend, showed us that he was ready to become a main eventer in that spate alone. Let's move forward 12 months to the invasion angle. Jericho and The Rock were the two hottest people, besides Angle and Stone Cold, who were fighting for the WWF Championship at that point in time. The Rock and Jericho had one of the hottest feuds of 2001, where they were aligned together and when they hated each other. Am I correct?
Like I said at the start, I've conceded the point that in the really early 2000s was the one time.
I'm not done yet.
All right,
So, 2001, as you said before at the start of the podcast, he beat The Rock and Stone Cold in one night. And yes, he was underutilized when he was champion because he played second fiddle. He played the third wheel to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon leading into WrestleMania 18. I'm not done yet.
You give him the world title and what, he's not the number one guy?
2000
Story of Chris Jericho's career, sounds like.
2002. He had a good feud with Triple H for quite a bit, and then he went on to tag team with Christian and won the tag titles. It was the right time in 2002 to make him a tag team specialist with his best friend Christian at that point in time. They were the hottest tag team on Monday Night Raw, and they feuded with people like the Un-Americans, the Hurricane and Kane, Rob Van Dam and Jeff Hardy, the Dudley Boys, Booker T and Goldust. That was a great period for tag team wrestling.
Feeding my point.
2003. He took on Goldberg. He was finally able to bury the hatchet with Goldberg backstage, and him and Goldberg put on some fantastic matches. Shawn Michaels, they had the best match at WrestleMania 19, and that was the time where Jericho was beginning to become a main eventer yet again. 2004, he had a good rivalry with Christian. 2005, he was thrust into the main event picture against John Cena. Because of that time, because of how hot Cena was, It was good for Jericho to put Cena over as a younger talent because Jericho had been in the game a lot longer than what John Cena had.
Agreed.
He took a couple of years off. 2007 was a good time for him to put over Randy Orton because Randy Orton was the hottest thing at that point in time.
Yep.
Only because Chris Jericho was an older man. 2008. You're forgetting about 2008.
Oh, no, I haven't forgotten about 2008.
2008.
And this just breeds to my point that he's not better
Shawn
than a
Michaels
transitional
and Chris
champion.
Jericho, as much as I enjoyed CM Punk holding the world title for a short time, Jericho and HBK had to have that championship for their program. It was warranted having the World Heavyweight Championship. So putting Jericho in that championship scramble at Unforgiven 2008 was the best thing.
And who won it?
Jericho. Who beat Shawn Michaels in the ladder match of No Mercy.
Jericho.
Who beat Randy Orton for the world title before he took on John Cena.
Jericho.
Who put John Cena over Survivor Series?
Vince McMahon.
Yes. 2009. 2009 and 2010. He had a tag team with The Miz, with Edge, with Big Show. Three of the hottest tag teams I absolutely enjoyed. I would have loved to have seen what Jericho and Edge could do as a tag team if Edge didn't get injured. I actually enjoyed Big Show and Jericho being together, even though the names sounded really shit. The Miz and Jericho were good because at that point in time, both of them had similar personalities.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I'll touch on that in a minute.
2010. He had the hottest feud of that year with the anonymous Raw general manager, and so did Edge. It was the funniest thing ever. But then what did Jericho do the last couple of years as well? He's had hot feuds with CM Punk. He put over CM Punk as the next big thing. He put over Kevin Owens as the next big thing. He's put over AJ Styles as the next big thing. He's putting over people as the next big thing because for someone like Jericho, yes, he might not be like the world champion, the John Cena, the 15-time, the 16-time world champion because, he wasn't equated to be that way. But Jericho is a main eventer because the one thing he's good at doing is he knows how to put talent over and he knows the right kind of talent to put over. Kenny Omega was a great way to prove that one of the best wrestlers from the WWE over the last 20 years in Chris Jericho can hang with one of the best wrestlers in the world right now in Kenny Omega. And that is my point proven. David.
Are you done?
Call my bluff, bitch.
You're done?
Yep.
All right. So you're basing it on the sense... All right, well, do you want to go now as well?
It's
so
Ricky's
just
turn.
save me for last?
No. I want you to say to Michael what you told me.
Oh, no, I'm going to get there. All
right, well, I'm just going to back up the fact that PWI gave him Feud of the Decade for the 2000s with Shawn Michaels.
That's lovely.
Also winning the Feud of the Year 2008 with Shawn Michaels. Those are non-championship. Those are the things that are voted on by the people who watch wrestling like us.
Fair, no.
We would...
I would like to just say that there is discrepancy between having an amazing feud and being main event.
Well, what was better in 2008? Was Punk JBL, Punk Batista better, or was Jericho Michaels better of 2008? Which one?
Jericho Michaels. Now, but I'm
enjoyed
not
that.
I'm not sitting here saying that Chris Jericho hasn't had amazing feuds. Rock, Kevin Owens, Shawn Michaels, obviously, right? CM Punk too. He's had amazing feuds, right? And yeah, he's put over talent, the talent that has become and then taken the mantle of main event. I'm not sitting here saying Jericho's a jobber, all right? But when it comes down, I would just like to say that you're coming from the perspective that main event is just an assortment of 6 or 7 people that the company can look at and go, you're just the best guys here, right? No, main event is the 2 to 3 people that are out there in the feud closing the show, right? And they're out there, they're the guys at the end of the day, you're looking at and going, we need a final match, who are we going to? Jericho's in a discussion, but he's not the guy that they're going to, all right? And it's just unfortunate that he was looked at as main event during times where Cena was on the ups, where Randy Orton was on the ups, and then eventually Jeff Hardy, CM Punk, and then Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles. It's just unfortunate that he has had the come-ups during these times with these people. And in 2008 specifically, oh, not 2008. The one where Miz started his run as world champion, right?
It's 2010, 2011.
2010, 2011. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that these guys he gave the rub to, but he was never the guy that you sat there and said, let's close out on main event pay-per-view.
That was also the time that he became very, very into the part-time schedule that he's got now.
Yeah,
but that's the thing, like, what is the point of having him come in and win the belt at that point? But if he wasn't part-time, then I can see him having...
Okay, but it's not to say that my point is wrong then. Because it just what he has chosen to be as part-time has just not allowed him to be the main event guy, right? He was main event in the early 2000s, right?
Yep.
And I'm not saying wrongfully so. Obviously, he the talent was there, and Vince McMahon said, let's push him, let's give him the 2 wins in one night and be the first ever something, right? The first ever, right? And he has all these accolades to his name, right? But at the end of the day, and let's exclude the Kenny Omega push and strip it back from his latest run with WWE all the way back to, like, let's say the 2008. He has never been a guy in a sea full of people in WWE where you've said to yourself, we need that main event match, right? And that's main event. It's not 6 or 7 guys in the WWE now where you've got Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, all those fucking around saying that we're main event when really, unless it's a gimmick match, only one match closes out the show. Right, and it's a shame because Mania is going to be Brock and Reigns allegedly. At the end of the day, Finn Balor, you might call yourself main event, and I love Finn, but you're not main event because you're not in that final match and you're not in that up there feud for the belt or for the closing out match. Right? Jericho has never been that guy that they've looked at.
Do you think
right?
Vince screwed the pooch though? WrestleMania 27.
He could screw the pooch everywhere. Like, it's not me saying that Chris Jericho couldn't have been. He never was, right? And this is more to my point is that he's never been the greatest main event guy, but he is the greatest upper mid card guy, right? And then what I was telling Ricky before is at the end of the day, Chris Jericho, and when you really think about it in retrospect, Chris Jericho is just a better Miz.
Fuck you.
Wow.
You're a piece of shit.
Wow.
Their careers, aside from the five transitional, forgetful world title runs Chris Jericho has had, his career is in line with everything The Miz has done.
Has The Miz beaten The Rock and Stone Cold in one night? No.
Okay. But he beat Cena at the main event for the WWE and
with help. With help.
Oh, we want to talk about. We want to talk about help, but he did it. All right. Has Chris Jericho been in that? He had one. What? He had one WrestleMania main event.
Yeah.
One WrestleMania event. And Miz too. All right. I'm not saying that they're the same. I'm saying he's better. Right. But he's better in the sense that if we look at Miz as saying you're the perennial upper mid carder, the gateway to the main event, Jericho is the example of the gateway to the main event. As you have said, he has put over the next generation of main event stars, but he himself has never been the guy.
But he was the one who was
he's
happy
the gateway. I'm not saying he's not, and I'm saying he's a phenomenal talent. He's just not the greatest main event guy that we all think. Aside, and this is where I'm going to come full circle, aside from right now, right? Jericho is at a point now in his career after having that could have been 5-star match with Kenny Omega, right? At the end of the day, Chris Jericho is a phenomenal businessman. We, as marks, are sitting here saying, oh, Chris Jericho put over Kenny Omega. You know, Chris Jericho did the job. Chris Jericho, you know, he made Kenny Omega look good. But at the end of the day, and I think what Chris Jericho is also seeing in his mind, is that he needed Kenny Omega more than Kenny Omega needed him. Because if he didn't have that bout with Kenny Omega, right, he wouldn't have as much stock to his name than he did before. Kenny Omega didn't lose any stock. Kenny Omega barely gained anything from that match. He won, right? And he got a good match under his belt. But that's not to say that the last year and a half for Kenny Omega hasn't been of an all-time quality.
But we've finally seen the match that everyone wanted to see.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't a match that we didn't want to see. But at the end of the day, as a business, Chris Jericho got more out of it than Kenny Omega did. Because now Chris Jericho can go back and leverage his point and say, I've just had this match with here, I could run with the belt. Whereas 6 months before that, we couldn't have looked at Chris Jericho in a sea of other people and said, you have that superstar notoriety, that world-class fame that we can put on our belt, where we got Roman Reigns, John Cena, you know, all these other guys that are going to carry the belt. But now Chris Jericho, the guy who's, you know, proven everywhere, like not beaten, but like went up toe-to-toe against the best talent arguably in the world today and put on a damn good match. Chris Jericho is at his best position now than he has been in an extremely long time. And now he could be main event.
I'm still mad at you.
Should I mention 2000? Should I go back to 2001 when him and Chris Benoit were
Crispin?
They were fighting for the Intercontinental Championship. And
great! It is a 9-time Intercontinental Champion, the greatest ever potentially.
And they put on pretty much a 5-star match. They stole the show, the 2001 Royal Rumble in that ladder match.
Okay,
just to let you know.
Oh, no, agreed. All right. In 2001. He wasn't the world champion at that point.
No, but like
okay, but I'm not saying he's not a great wrestler. He's had great matches, right? He has. He's just had them in the mid card.
But I'll be honest here. As much as we loved Rock and Cena main eventing WrestleMania 28 with the once in a lifetime, honestly, Jericho and Punk should have closed that show out.
And Punk would tell you the same thing.
WrestleMania 29, Undertaker and Punk should have closed out the show.
I agree.
And that's why
I feel like back-to-back Punk should have had 2 main events under his belt.
And that's why Punk left the company in 2014. Yeah. Jericho, I think, was a bit furious as well for the fact that him and Punk didn't close out. Because if you look at it that way, Punk and Jericho had the best feud going into WrestleMania 28. We ignore the Rock Cena, who were doing it for the whole year. I
still think that their feud was better.
Yeah, the last who's
like Cena. Sorry, not Cena.
Punk and Jericho.
Punk and Jericho, way better. I actually went back and watched WrestleMania 28. Mostly just for the once in a lifetime, the end of an era match.
Oh my god,
which was fantastic. But like right after that was probably some Divas match, but I'll skip that. Was the Punk Jericho like the
street fight? Oh wait, no,
that was a good match. But on that card,
it was one where it was like if Punk got DQ'd, he'd still lose the belt.
Yeah.
So he had to be restrained, which is a really good sort of element to add to the story because it was such a personal feud between the two.
At the end of the day, though. At the end of the day,
it didn't go on last.
But at the end of the day, on that card, it was still probably the third most talked about match because you had that once in a lifetime and you had that end of an era.
But if you look at,
it's a shame.
So you're saying that Chris Jericho in any other generation, in any other circumstance, would be the guy, but just because of
talent-wise, he could be. Talent-wise, in ring and mic, he could be.
On the mic,
like I said, it's just unfortunate that when we look at him and say he could be the up and coming main event or run the main event scene, they had guys that were younger with Cena, Orton, Punk, Hardy, all those, and then Taker was running the scene at SmackDown as well. It's just unfortunate that you can't look at him now. Oh, can't look at him back then and just say, no, you're the number one guy. We're going to give you the belt and you're going to have these series of feuds, right? And at the end of the day, someone puts you over and then you start running this, right? No, he's always been a really good gateway guy. A gateway into the main event.
All right, how about let's give it 2 years before we go through this argument again. Because in 2 years' time, I want to come back and revisit Chris Jericho. But I want to add The Miz because you talked about he was the better Miz. In 2 years' time, we'll talk about who was better in their career, The Miz or Chris Jericho?
Jericho obviously is, but because...
No. Wait 2 years. Miz might...
I was going to say, Miz might actually take a couple of Universal titles in that reign because of just like... I'm not going to say better booked, right? I'm not saying that it was a bad thing that Chris Jericho was used as a transitional champion because at the end of the day, 15 years from now, we're not going to care about the storylines, what it was, but we'll just see and look back and go, oh, he was a 6-time world champion. They must have been good, right? That's how everyone will look at it, right? At the end of the day, Miz might not have 6 world titles. He might win 2 more, right? And he'll be a 3-time world champion.
Yeah.
And we'll look at it and go, oh, he might eventually be 11-time IC champion, blah, 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 blah. But, like, he will never be the better world title guy because that's just how things look in 15 years when we've forgotten all of that. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to, I don't want to say book Miz better, but they're going to give him the title when he needs the title, right? So when, let's say, Reigns wins the Universal, and then he has a reign for 4 months, beats 2 guys, Miz is the next guy, and then he wins the Universal title because he's not a transition guy, but he wins it, right? And based on 6 years of backwork he's had, where he's done all these things, it felt right to give Miz the title at this time, right? And then you'll have that, you'll drop it maybe 2 months later or whatever, and then you'll just trade, but it'll feel like the time when Miz is meant to be the world title guy, whereas Jericho's never felt like the guy that was meant to be the world title guy. He might have 6 to his name, but 5 have been transitioned.
How about we agree to disagree on this, and we might revisit this at a future episode. How about
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
All right.
Agree to disagree.
I'm still just mad.
I was going to say, before we get into like,
I'm trying to find a stat right now that I just want to like shove down your throat.
Do you want me to play something just to give us a bit of a breather? Because it looks like
You just want a bit of time?
Okay. Can I just?
Here we go. All right.
I know this is a bad. Okay, another guy who had 6 championship reigns.
Rock had 8.
Rock had 8. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the greatest of all time, possibly the greatest draw of all time in the entire history of professional wrestling.
3 Royal Rumble wins.
But then I guess he's the better example of someone who doesn't need multiple title wins to be.
I know he was top of the card no matter what, but he had 6 reigns as world champion. How many combined days do you think those...
Are we going combined days, or are we going the fact that every time Stone Cold was on WrestleMania, he closed the show? Which one's it going to be?
Not every time. 19. They didn't go last.
At least 5 more times than Chris Jericho has in his 6 title reigns that you have here. That's what I'm saying. Title reigns not...
Dude, Rock main evented WrestleMania twice. Sorry, no.
Are we talking about The Rock?
No, sorry. Steve Austin. Steve Austin main evented...
Okay, WrestleMania, fair enough.
Twice.
But every other pay-per-view... We're talking just in not a complete vacuum of just WrestleMania main events, because then it's obviously not fair, right? But I'm talking about when it came down to just, the top 5 pay-per-views. Let's look like Rumbles, Survivor Series, SummerSlams, right? Where they're bigger draws at that point. I would argue Stone Cold has just more credence to his main event ability than someone like Chris Jericho does. And at the end of the day, if you were to pick a list and out of the, I'm not going to say early 2000s because I conceded that point. I said in the early 2000s he was main event, right? But if we were to concede a point in 2008 where there were 5 guys that you picked from, the John Cena's, the Randy Ortons, the Edges, the Undertakers, right? CM Punk arguably, but not better than Jericho. And you add Jericho to that. Jericho's the 5th fiddle. He's the 5th guy that you'd go to when you have a John Cena.
And yet he had the belt twice in 2008.
But that's just to show that the belt isn't like... when he had the belt, he still wasn't the guy.
He was the guy. He was in a feud with the best wrestler of all time.
Agreed.
For the majority of that year.
All right.
And he's the guy they chose. That was around the time when, HBK was thinking about retiring. And he's like, I need to go on a greatest hits tour.
What
feuds from my history?
Was that for the world title, yeah? Was it for the WWE title?
It was for the big gold belt. But the big gold belt at that stage was the main belt on Raw.
Okay.
Which is the flagship show.
All right, and then for not long afterwards, then the WWE title came back.
Look,
because
that's just the way it is.
All right, well, if the way it is, it doesn't mean it's because it's on Raw. It's the best title.
Yes, it does.
When 2016 rolled around with the brand split, the WWE title was on SmackDown, and the WWE title was arguably more set up than the Universal title.
2002 to 2005, what was the title everyone went after? The big gold belt. No one gave a fuck about the WWE Championship. Do you know who they gave it to? JBL for a year. They did not give a fuck about that belt till they put it on Cena in 2006. Oh, sorry, 2005.
And was Jericho a champion during that time?
Yes, he was. He was the undisputed champion.
In 2002 to 2005.
I'm just All
right. Look, this is...
guys, I was going to mention as well, remember what Paul Heyman said as well about...
I'm not saying that these belts don't have credibility to them.
Yang.
All right?
Yeah, I was going to say, mention what JBL actually said... Well, actually, not what Paul Heyman said at ECW One Night Stand in 2005, which is that the only reason why he was champion for as long as he is because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. But
we'll leave it there.
I've got a message from Chris Jericho to you, though.
You just made the list. Oh, no.
You know what? Fair play. I'm okay with that. And if Jericho blocks me in every form possible, I'm okay with that. I spoke my piece. Jericho, you're a phenomenal talent. You've just never been the guy.
Fair enough.
Not fair enough.
No. I said we'll agree to disagree. We've got plenty more We've got plenty more to talk about anyway. So we'll just we'll move on from this talk now.
God fucking damn it! All right,
we'll move on. We'll
All
move
right, let's
on.
get into some news. Give us something else to talk about, Michael. Please, for the love of God. I'm so sad right now.
Here is the rest of the news.
Piece of shit.
And the reason why I'm playing that song, guys, is
God
because it dropped last night, because I was at BCW last night. The one thing that got dropped was the one and only Melina will be appearing at BCW in a triple threat match against Jazz McKenzie and Kellyanne Good Friday.
Will she be wearing a thong?
That's a good question.
Will she do the entrance?
But that is like the match.
Can she still do the entrance? Is
Yeah, can she still do the
Is
entrance?
she still limber enough to do the entrance?
That is a good
And
thing.
does she have Johnny Morris or Johnny Nitro or whatever?
Two other
there to
matches
block
He's
the
Johnny
ass?
Impact now, right?
Whatever.
They don't talk to each other anymore. They're done.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
What about when
100%.
can Joey Mercury be there to block her ass?
Yeah. Also, two more matches got announced at BCW last night as well
Yes.
for the Good Friday show. Last night we saw Cletus and Mad Dog take on the team of Dowie James and JXT. Dowie James and JXT are still the BCW Tag Team Champions, but Mad Dog and Cletus have officially announced, or they challenged the lads, as they like to be called, JXT and Dowie James, to a hardcore tag team match for the tag team titles, which they agreed to. So we're going to see, because Cletus loves a bit of hardcore, we're going to be seeing a lot more hardcore for the tag titles. And the main event of BCW on March 30th is going to be the rematch between Sid Parker and Slade Mercer. Sid Parker won the BCW championship in Sydney during the Lucha Down Underground tour up there in Sydney. Slade Mercer did not win the match. He's not got his rematch. Basically, Sid Parker went through Juventud Guerrero, who was down here last night as well for the BCW Championship. After the match, Slade Mercer, all masked, dropped Erica, Sid Parker's girlfriend, with an RKO and left the ring, unmasked himself and gave no shits and walked out. Looking at Sid Parker, Parker looked
Is he allowed to call it an RKO?
I don't know what it's called. I don't know what Slade Mercer calls it, but
Just a cutter.
it was a cutter. So Slade Mercer with a cutter to Erica, dropping her without Sid Parker knowing. Sid Parker basically looking up and just in disbelief of what's going to happen. So 3 big matches already at BCW on 30th of March, which is going to be really, really good. I'm looking forward to seeing how Sid Parker can react to what Slade Mercer did last night at the Whitehall Centre. It's going to be a very interesting night. Guys.
Did they actually call it Lucha Down Underground?
Yeah, he did.
Because
yeah.
that's fucking sick, dude.
They did do that.
That's mage, man. I'll put that over.
That's
creative.
That's what they did. We've also got we've got a few more shows as well. Like we've got MCW happening as well, which is good. They've got some big matches tonight. I'll give you the card very, very shortly when I can get that up on my laptop as well.
Suss the International Assault card, bro.
I also do International Assault as well. But the one thing I want to talk to you guys about, and this is what I've heard, and this has come through reliable sources as well. I did mention on last week's pod that they were mentioning that they're going to bring the global warming tour back down to Melbourne, where we're going to be filling 100,000 people. So
Yeah, she did, Queen.
two names have already been dropped, and potentially they might be appearing at the AFL Grand Final in 2018 as guests. And that is The Rock and Ronda Rousey could potentially be making an appearance at the Grand Final to promote the global warming tour, which will be happening a week after the 2018 AFL Grand Final.
That's spicy.
Okay.
That's spicy. If The Rock's on that card, if The Rock is on that
He's
card,
not going to be on that
if
card.
The Rock is on that
He's not
card,
going to be on the card. He'll be like the guy that'll come out and say, "Good work, Australia. You broke the record for something." And
That's on the card.
And then he
I would call that on the card.
And then he hits his greatest hits.
That's on the card.
And
That's
say
on the card.
his name on fire again.
Yeah, you said name is fine with the flamethrower.
The Rock can do anything, boys.
Yeah, no,
The Rock
I
can
know.
do anything.
He's not like he's not getting in the ring at WrestleMania. You know that, right? That ain't happening. He's not going to be.
Because they're floating around the Rousey Rock idea.
Yeah, okay. It's not like after
It's
what
an insurance thing, yeah?
after what happened at 29.
Yeah.
He busted his abs or whatever. He ripped an abductor off his hip during the match with Cena. the Hercules movie or whatever the fuck it was back
Yeah,
then,
they
got delayed by like 3 or 4 months while he was
Yeah.
recovering.
'Cause at the
No company, especially now, because each year he's a bigger star than he was the year before. So this is back in what, 2013.
Yeah.
2013. He's a bigger star now than he was back then, and they were pissed off about it then. There's no way that any production company is going to give him or approve the insurance for him to go into a match, especially where he's going to be a one-on-one with Triple H. Even though it is a tag match, he's going to be who he's facing. Triple H could easily screw something up, miss it, because he hasn't been in the ring for a while.
Yeah, no,
Bit
I
of
agree
ring
with the
rust
point.
there.
I agree with the point.
Could stuff something up, cost The Rock another movie or some crap like that, and there's no way any movie company's going to sign
Well,
for
there's 3 people that have been touted to
It'll show up.
be
It'll be like,
replacement
hey.
of The Rock in that tag match that's still being rumoured for WrestleMania 34. And they the 3 names I'm going to drop to you are Kurt Angle,
Yeah.
which is justifiable. Only
Justifiable specifically because it's on Raw.
Seth Rollins,
Triple
only
H.
because he doesn't have a match with Jason Jordan, because Jordan's
Yeah.
now at 14
Seth Rollins
months.
would make.
But I
Cause I
would-
think they're starting to plant the
No,
seeds for that too.
boo, boo.
Oh, here's the third
Him
one.
versus Triple H 2 manias in a row. Who wants to see that?
But I don't agree. But it's not like there's not a story there.
And here's the third
I
one.
don't care.
Yeah, you don't get. But that's what I'm saying. Because there's a story
dumb.
there, it's easier to set up.
And
No, you know what the easy story to set up right now is? Seth Rollins versus Kurt Angle.
Yeah, but
No, you know it is.
I agree, but you could. Cause they're setting. It's not like they're not setting that up as well, right? But like
That has to
you
happen.
don't want because you can't hide Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle doesn't need to be on the card. You want him to, but he doesn't need to, right?
I think he does now that Jason Jordan's injured.
Yeah, but that's not. But if they are going to go with the mixed tag with Rousey as her first match
the question is she just going to sit in the ring and point at the WrestleMania sign like she did for the
for another 40 minutes.
Yeah.
No, there won't be any WrestleMania sign. It'll just be like WrestleMania. It's just like have to point
At the
like,
stage.
just-
I'm here,
just-
guys.
Just keep doing.
I'm actually here,
Just
guys.
keep doing circles around the ring, just,
Just
pointing out
pointing.
to everybody. It's like WrestleMania. It's all around me. I can't point in so many directions at once. I need to be an octopus.
Like, at the moment, the
Well, what-
promo photo that
if
they've got
she-
for Ronda Rousey is her pointing at the WrestleMania sign.
If she comes out,
It's the only thing she's done with the WWE.
if she comes out at Elimination Chamber this weekend
and just points at the
continually
sign.
points at the sign, signs her Raw contract in the ring while continually pointing at the sign, I would be like, okay, they've bought into the meme. I'm all about that. But if not, I'm not all
and
about that.
it is the third person that they've dropped as well, which I think is going to be very interesting if they do end up using. And it depends on this superstar who may be medically cleared to face this certain
Oh, wait, what?
authority figure. So the original plan was Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan are supposed to have a WrestleMania 34
Oh, if
match.
Daniel Bryan's not cleared,
That
that's
is
not
not
happening.
happening. Oh,
if
hell
Daniel Bryan's
no.
not cleared, because
If not, then Shane O'Mac will be partnering up with Ronda Rousey to take on Triple H and
Yeah,
Stephanie McMahon.
I heard Braun.
no, the way I fucking see it, Braun has to be in that main event, or he's not doing anything. Okay.
The only reason I heard Braun was because they set up a potential match for him and Triple H at Survivor Series,
Yeah.
and this is a good way to get him in a massive high profile match that's not the main event, but it will be like one of the main events. And
It's not high profile.
How is it not high profile?
It's not for Braun.
It's fucking Rousey.
It's
No,
a match for the sake of a match for Braun.
I actually think you're right, because I think Braun at this point in time, how good he is, he would overshadow Rousey in that spot.
Agreed. But at the same time,
I didn't know-
he'll also lose stock for doing that match. And they're protecting Braun really well.
But having him
they will not give him that.
Having him destroy Triple H and possibly give Steph.
But there's nothing aside from that Survivor Series match. There's nothing there. There's nothing there between Braun and Triple H. If we were to look at Triple H's authority figure,
maybe something there.
if we were to, aside, okay, maybe, but he's like the fourth in line behind a Kurt Angle, behind a Seth Rollins, behind all these guys who
See,
have.
I would put him above Rollins. I would put him well above Rollins.
Nah, dude. Especially
They-
now with
they
Monday
worked
Night
out,
Rollins.
They worked out their issues
He
last
is
year.
the
They
workhorse, the architect, where he's gone all this. He has documented history with Triple H. If it were to come down
But
to
they shouldn't
Rousey
have
coming
any-
out
they
in the
shouldn't
ring,
have any more history because of last year.
If they pick it,
done.
if the booking goes in the sense that Rousey comes out and says, you know, blah, 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 I want my match at WrestleMania, and then Stephanie McMahon comes out and says, look, you haven't earned it, and then that builds a feud between those two, and then it becomes, and then Triple H walks in and goes, no, you know, you haven't earned your right, blah, 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 and then it could just be as simple, no, it'd just be as simple as Seth Rollins, who's Monday Night Rollins, who's being underappreciated, comes out and says, you know who hasn't been appreciated on Monday Night Raw? Me. I got your back, Rousey. Bang. There's your Mania match.
Why the fuck would he come out and say that? Because if he's not being appreciated and he sees a part-timer, well, allegedly part-timer, walk in and get a massive shot at WrestleMania, he would be pissed off.
She's not a part-timer, she's signed full-time.
Where the fuck was she on Raw after?
She signed full-time post-Elimination Chamber is what my understanding is.
That is what I'm hearing as well. Dave Meltzer.
Well, we're going to see.
We'll have to see, obviously, but the idea is that she's not very vocal about it.
Okay.
She's like, my time is now with the WWE.
But I need both of your opinions on this really quickly. Elimination Chamber, does she get booed when she comes out to sign a contract?
It's impossible for her to get booed.
No.
There's a difference between the fans and the backstage.
I have a really distinct
It depends when she comes out.
I have a really
if she comes out middle of the card, she might be fine. If she closes the show with a contract signing, I would boo the fucking shit out of her.
Well, I mean, if she closes the show, then you know that they're going to set up the angle there. That's like that when they had the Women's Rumble on last.
Yeah.
Rousey's coming out.
Rousey better not
because
be
you cannot
the main event attraction of Elimination Chamber.
I don't think she will. So what I think
the men's
Do you
match
reckon
is
she- do you
closing.
reckon she'll get booed?
No, the women's match will close Elimination Chamber, I reckon.
Okay, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I think. I think Rousey will be middle of the cards.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
that.
And then she potentially might make an appearance at the conclusion of
In
the
the women's
women's
chamber.
Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah.
I actually believe that the first match of the Elimination Chamber will be the number one contenders match for the winner faces Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
I think the females will close it
Yeah,
out.
females will close it.
I'd be fine with that.
so basically-
I want that.
Like-
That's how I got it booked.
So basically what I'm going to see here, sorry Ricky, I know you want to get something point across out. What I'm hearing as well is potentially this is how it's going to work out at the Elimination Chamber. Stephanie is going to come out and congratulate the first winner of the Women's Elimination Chamber match.
Yep.
Oscar's going to come out. Stephanie's going to be like, to whoever wins, whether it's Alexa Bliss or Sasha Banks, who are the two favorites at the moment.
We'll get to our predictions in a minute. But
Apparently, Oscar is going to say to Stephanie, "I'm blue and I'm facing Charlotte," and then walk out.
Really?
And then apparently Rousey might come out and attack the winner
Of that.
the Women's Elimination Chamber match, and then drop Stephanie McMahon to set up the mixed tag match at WrestleMania.
I agree.
Why would she attack the winner and then go into a feud with Steph? If she's going to attack the winner, just fight the winner.
To stamp her foot, saying that she's officially here in WWE and that she's not taking any shit.
No, this is all just fantasy.
If she attacks the winner, then she's going to fight whoever wins. Like that would make no sense. Her attacking Stephanie directly, that would set up a tag match.
But it makes no sense if she just goes out of her way and attacks Stephanie. Stephanie needs to provoke.
Stephanie's a bitch.
Yeah, no, agreed. And that's
Shit.
but that's
Like,
Stephanie provoking.
Steph could easily set something up because, like, it's
no
going to
shit.
be
That's what I'm saying.
her and Angle out there in the middle of the ring for the promo before the contract signing, and the promo during the contract signing, and there's going to be it's a contract signing in WWE. Something's going to happen.
Someone's going through a table.
Someone's going through that goddamn table.
Yep.
And it's probably going to be Stephanie. Because I don't see how Rousey.
And at that point, you have Kurt Angle and Rousey sitting there, and then that kind of just confirms that it's going to be Kurt and Rousey versus.
Well, then obviously Triple H would have to come down.
You know what? That actually makes so much sense.
Defend his wife.
I'm with Kurt on that match actually because the whole tension between Triple H and Kurt and the Authority and Stephanie and Kurt, like that just makes so much sense. And if they breed the Stephanie and Rousey, and then Rousey doesn't like it, yeah, you know what?
Plus, Kurt, Stephanie, and Triple H have the history because remember SummerSlam 2000 where Kurt was very infectious with Stephanie McMahon, which pissed Hunter off.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of.
Like, they can go.
You
all the
really
way back.
hope they push that though. Like WWE forgets things that are like 3 years old.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Dude, they forget shit that's 6 months old.
Vince thinks we're all goldfish. Sidebar for a minute. I've got the card for tonight's MCW Clash of the Titans.
Is that tonight?
Yeah, it's tonight.
You going to that?
No, I'm not because I'm going to Robbie Williams. So
I was here tonight.
yeah. So the
Priorities.
So live at the Thornbury Theatre.
lame.
Tone Philippe, who I should mention as well, made his debut at BCW last night when Indy Hartwell came out. Tone Philippe was seen in the crowd. He came out and attacked Kaz Jordan and has now joined forces with Gabriel Wolf. He's going to take on Alex Kingston. So the former PCW champion is now wrestling in other promotions, which is good to see. Kellyanne's taking on Alison Cruz. Loverboy Lockie Hendricks is taking on Cremator. Helter Skelter versus the Brat Pack. The match that a lot of people will be wanting to watch tonight is Will Ospreay taking on Mr. Juicy. Elliot Sexton to take on JXT.
Juice Robinson.
Robbie Eagles and Slex will compete against each other for the Intercommonwealth Championship in a ladder match. And the main event is Darry James versus Preston for the MCW Heavyweight Championship.
I know you guys didn't go to New Japan, but this man Slex is got to be the hottest talent in Australia right now. Seriously, he has a goddamn gimmick of a name. A goddamn gimmick of a name.
I know Slex very well from watching him and other wrestling promotions.
Oh, he's Slexual Chocolate.
He's very sexual chocolate.
I don't know if it's obviously not PG, but he's going to be at International Assault, right? And I'm 100% sussing fan shirts of specifically Slex. I'm a Slex mark, dude, all right? But the shirts that I'm making up and tell me what you guys think. It's a simple shirt that just reads, "I'm a homosexual." How do we feel?
I like it.
How do we feel?
I really like
If
it.
I buy my ticket to International Assault today, will you get me one as well?
You want a homosexual shirt? Done.
I kind of do, yeah.
Done.
That's pretty funny.
I want a homosexual shirt too.
Done.
Yeah. Because I'm going to be buying a Bullet Club shirt there.
Yeah.
I haven't got one.
And you want to, but you come into the event with a "I'm a homosexual" shirt.
Yeah,
And-
I would-
We're Slex Marks, boys.
And also another bit of news as well.
Can we get Slex on the show?
We should try and get him on the
Sus,
show.
please get the business on the show.
All I'm going to say is the one thing that we don't really talk too much about because no one cares about the company anymore, and that's Impact. Apparently,
What?
You have 30 seconds, go.
Another
you don't have
Impact
much time.
Wrestling talents recently have reached out to PWI and alleged they have not been paid for the January 2018 TV pay-per-views.
Surprise.
Several of the talents
What
have
a
also
shock.
alleged they were not paid for November's 2017 Bound for Glory pay-per-view or the TV tapings after Bound for Glory, as well as the Christmas holiday and right before the January TV tapings are held. There is now concern among talent that the same payment pattern will continue and that they won't be paid until the next set of TV tapings, which are scheduled for late April. Ed Nolenhelm, who's the Anthem president, said talent is not behind on their pay. We generally provide for the talent to be paid as independent contractors in the month following the month, which is the service are rendered. This was an improvement over our previous management, where talent checks were issued only as the actual episodes air. We instituted a payment policy last year to pay all service rendered in the following month as well, regardless where the shows would air. According checks for January were mailed early mid-month. Checks for members were mailed mid-December. We realised one unexpected impact of moving our corporate offices to Canada has been a further delay with mail services going cross-border. We are working to streamline our town payroll processing so much future events will play closer to the beginning of each month after services are rendered.
They still mail out checks.
That was such a word salad, dude.
I know. Assault that.
I think you can email checks now, can't you?
You could just
because the
theoretically just put them into your account.
Couldn't they do BSB and account number stuff like normal people do these days?
Well, it does say it would Impact would feel like, hey, we're going to mail you this check. Don't cash it until like this specific date because there's going to be no money in that account until that date. Just hold on to it. You got paid. We just don't have the money yet, and you can't cash it until a certain date. But we paid you. That's what it feels like. Speaking of Impact,
Your 30 seconds is up.
Speaking of Impact, Jeff Jarrett, Hall of Fame. What do we think, boys?
I think it's time to bury the hatchet because you know.
Yeah.
Oh, bury the hatchet.
Yeah.
So Kurt Angle inducts him. How deep do you want to bury that hatchet? How deep do you want Kurt Angle to bury that hatchet into the back of Jeff Jarrett's skull?
We all know.
Please
We all know.
let Kurt Angle induct him.
We all know the story of Jarrett
Oh my god!
sleeping around with Karen, who was Angle at that point in time, when she became a Jarrett. And which is why Dixie Carter.
Current wife, still yes.
Yep, they're still together.
What, who, Angle and...
No,
They broke up.
no,
Jarrett.
Jarrett and
Karen
Angle
and Jeff
Oh,
still
that's
together.
so sus,
Well,
man.
still together.
Because
That's so
What
sus.
had happened after that was Dixie Carter had completely removed Jeff Jarrett of all of his powers of Impact and TNA in general as well, which is why Dixie Carter gained full control of the company, because Jeff Jarrett was, as Triple H said to Vince after Money in the Bank, Jeff Jarrett was relieved of all of his duties as CEO and founder of TNA, and that Dixie Carter would be taking over full responsibilities.
Founder of TNA,
Did he not?
Global Force.
Global Force.
Yeah, he did Global Force as well.
Yeah.
And then
Wait, he didn't found TNA back in
yes,
the
he
day.
did.
Did he?
He
Yeah,
did.
him and his father did. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did it to stick it to
Really?
Jobber?
Vince.
Well, because it was originally called NWA.
TNA, which is the
TNA.
partnership that Jeff
Partnership.
Jarrett and Jerry Jarrett
Yeah.
put together with NWA originally. That
Does
was-
NWA even run their own promotions, or are they just a belt?
No, they still have. Oh,
Actually, no, they run their own promotion now because
it's coming back. Isn't
Nick
it?
Aldis just recently defeated James Ellsworth for the NWA Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
James Ellsworth?
He took on James
Yeah,
Ellsworth.
They had like the.
They had a 16-minute match.
Yeah, but like they had their own version of like a brief, like a Money in the Bank thing that you could cash in for for the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To my understanding,
like,
James Ellsworth
is-
just had a match with Joey Ryan, which could be all time.
Oh god.
So-
The King of Dong style is the
the-
greatest gimmick in wrestling.
the chin versus the dick.
And I was also going to mention as well with Impact too, back in the day.
Your time is up.
You were 100% done with Impact.
No,
Wellness.
keep going.
All right, one more thing as
Yeah, keep going.
was that Jeff Jarrett recently returned to Impact last year.
He did.
He did, but he was also fired by Ed Norhelm of Anthem as well because he no-showed a few events. He was also pretty drunk backstage
Oh,
as
future
well.
endeavor.
Yeah, he was future endeavored by his own company.
How many companies has he been future endeavored by? Like, is Global Force still a thing? Did he get future endeavored from his own company?
No.
again?
Who's their champ? Is it Aries?
Yeah, Aries is the champion, right? He's the Impact champion right
Barely
now.
fucking doing anything.
Originally, what had happened was Jared had come up with an agreement to make it GFW Impact, but then once Jared got fired, Anthem wanted nothing to do with GFW or Jeff Jarrett, so they went back to the Impact Wrestling name, and they basically nullified anything that involved Global Force Wrestling.
Wait, so it's not Global Force Wrestling anymore.
No, it's just called Impact.
It's just
Wrestling.
Impact.
It's called Impact Wrestling.
There's no TNA anymore.
No, I know
It's
that.
just
I still thought it was the GFW.
Impact.
Nah, it's
Because
not.
last time I understood it was that Bobby Lashley was their champion.
Well, Bobby Lashley,
Didn't he unify the belts or something? They
He
had like a big was it?
he had every single championship, and then he gave up the King of the Mountain and
Yeah.
the X Division Championship,
Yeah.
which was then vacated. He then vacated the Grand Championship to just be the World Champion.
Yeah.
It,
God, that man's
it,
talent.
dude, it was an absolute mess.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
but
like-
I'm not like okay, it's a mess, but like at the end of the day, having someone hold all your belts isn't the dirtiest of bookings.
No,
I reckon it could be a good gimmick.
I mean, look at Austin
Only
Aries.
if that man-
Aries right now has how many belts? Like,
Yeah, but he has how many belts with
He has
different
5
promotions?
World Championships in 5 different promotions
Yeah.
around the world.
It's ridiculous.
Bobby Lashley ran everything
He did.
at Global Force, but whatever it was called back then, right? It's a good gimmick if they book it in the sense that in every pay-per-view he defends every single belt.
Global Impact TNA Force.
That'd be sick.
That would be good.
And like just he opens the show and closes
So
the show
many
and defends
adjectives.
in the middle. Like it's just
Extreme
That's a good
TNA
moment.
Global Impact Force. Fuck yourself.
Like, there's rumors about what Lashley's going to be doing now since he's been released from TNA.
Yeah.
Like, he's been released from Impact. He actually came to mutual agreements. Ed Norholm actually said that Lashley is welcome to come back to Impact at any time. Rey Mysterio and Impact apparently are still talking as well. So
Rey Mysterio talking with everyone though.
yeah, Ray might.
He's sus in WWE. He did a New Japan thing, didn't he?
Yeah, apparently Impact and New Japan are offering him a little bit more money than what WWE are from my
But
sources.
it's WWE though.
They need to offer him part. They can't. He can't.
He's not doing full time. But that's the thing.
Well,
with
he
Rey.
said he wants to do full time. That's the thing.
No, he said he doesn't.
No,
want
he
it.
doesn't. He wants
that's
to do
what-
part
He wants to do part time. Like
God, who are your sources?
I cannot see him doing a full time schedule. Like, it's not going to happen. There's no way. His knee.
But
will
if he
fly-
took-
his
if he-
knee will explode.
If he took on a full time schedule, would that man be a world title holder?
No, Mysterio. You want to talk about a guy who was like never destined for the main event, like never ever seen as a main event talent. Rey Mysterio is the guy. Like,
Yeah, we're not going to get back into that then. Fair enough.
Oh,
no,
oh.
you have me there.
no, exactly.
Like I'm the biggest Rey Mysterio mark you'll find.
Like,
but I agree with you.
There's one very.
But
very,
you can't tell me you didn't pop when that 165 LB man won that world title. Like that was a moment.
No, it was for a very specific, unfortunate reason.
Oh,
Are you telling?
God rest his soul. But if
Are
Eddie
you
Guerrero
tell-
doesn't die,
are you telling
does
me
Rey
that-
Mysterio not win the Rumble?
No,
Who wins the Rumble?
Guerrero.
Guerrero wins the Rumble.
they
They actually booked him to
They
win
would
that
have
Rumble.
had that spot open for him. I reckon that's the spot he would have had. If not, Cena would have won. No, Triple H would have won it because he was destined to fight Cena at WrestleMania 22. So it would have been another time Triple H won something big and then went on to WrestleMania and lost. Whoopty fucking.
I was going to say, speaking of people who are talking with WWE yet again,
Yes.
there's rumors that the Hurricane is also in talks with WWE about coming back on 205 Live and potentially might help boost the division in general.
Let him come back as Gregory Helms though. Don't
Nah,
do it as the
man.
Hurricane.
Nah, man, the Hurricane's
as
great.
Gregory Helms, he was legit.
Yeah, but as the Hurricane, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
What do you-
right.
what do you-
There's no gimmick on that show. Aside from Drew Gulak, which is the greatest talent of all time.
Oh, the guy that carries an umbrella.
Jack Gallagher.
Yeah, Jack Gallo. It's
Yeah,
a kind
but
of.
he's jobbing though.
Apparently, he used to wear a gi to the ring, and apparently, he's been like rumors of him bringing the gi back.
Oh, please do.
Because
That's a
that'd be
gimmick.
great.
He's a mixed martial artist too, Jack Gallagher as well.
Yeah.
He's got a background in because he's been doing mixed martial arts since I think the age of 12. Jack Gallagher, which is why he's so good at such a young age as well. But yeah, the Hurricane apparently he's in talks right now, and potentially it could be in a cruiserweight championship match the moment he returns against the winner of the cruiserweight.
Which better be Cedric Alexander. It's either Cedric Alexander
Or Drew Gulak.
Not even Drew Gulak. Or Murphy.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, hang on.
If you're pushing Murphy, they're pushing him.
Do we
they're
know what's
pushing him
happening
good.
with Gargano? Because he lost this week.
Oh, can we touch on that?
Yeah, go.
I got like, cause the way I see it is he lost.
Yep.
But I have so many things about that match. It was too early for both, right? So it was too early to give him the belt because that's a match you want to keep for a takeover.
No, Mania weekend.
A Mania weekend takeover, yeah? That's what I'm saying.
Like that
right?
is
That's the pop, right?
Mania weekend has always been like the huge cathartic win
Yeah.
for the babyface.
Yeah.
It's always built up to that, and it has to be.
that's where it would have been,
It has to
right?
be the weekend he wins it.
And it would have been Gargano. I say he's not done with NXT. I say it's all the work, obviously.
Same here.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not
no
gonna,
shit. He's not going to, because if he can't get called up. It's not to say that he's not ready
No.
for main roster.
Oh hell yeah!
He's extremely ready for main roster.
Hell
but with
yeah.
the stacked talent they have there, he would get lost in the shuffle.
No, that's
instantly.
what I'm worried about. As in, like, why I brought up when you talk about 205 Live, because I'm just like, I can see them being like, put him on 205 Live,
And that's trash.
We
But at
need
the
to
end of the
bump
day-
up the ratings. Get him on 205 Live. Bad idea.
Well, there's 3 matches that have already come through for NXT Takeover New Orleans, which is the night before WrestleMania 34.
Yes.
And that is Andre the Cien Almas is taking on Aleister Black for the NXT Championship.
What?
Ember Moon to take on Shayna
Do you not know
Baszler.
this?
And the
When did they announce this?
And the Undisputed Era will take on the winner of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic
Yeah.
for the NXT Tag Team titles, which means that I believe that that Ciampa is ready to come back to action, and I think that they'll put in
So Gargano, Ciampa.
Gargano Ciampa at New Orleans. And if
I would have had
unsanctioned match.
Unsanctioned
match?
Unsanctioned
No,
match.
I agree, and that will be 5-star. But I would have loved to have seen Gargano in that main event with Almas.
unsanctioned match, and if Gargano wins, he not only comes back to NXT, but he also gets a world championship. It'll be a number 1 contenders match for the NXT championship.
Okay,
That match.
I'll pay that.
And then down
Does
the line-
Aleister Black go over? Because I think Almas is being pegged to.
Hell
Yeah.
I think Almas is pegged to move up.
I think from what I'm hearing, Almas is in, I think, 10 NXT superstars who are going to be going to main roster after WrestleMania 34. So I think Aleister Black will...
10.
Apparently there's up to 10 NXT superstars who'll be going.
Inclusive of women's, because I think they're going to call up. I'm pretty sure they might call up Moon and the iconic one, the iconic
Duo, yep. Also Sanity and the Authors of Pain.
Authors of Pain have to be up.
And Sanity
True.
also
The
going
tag
to be
team
going there too.
division is actually lacking now a little bit. We're getting the same kind of matches.
And Sanity as well are going to be coming up there too. Other rumored names as well, really quickly, are Almas, McIntyre, because he'll be 100% after WrestleMania 34 as well.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't like seeing McIntyre on the main roster personally.
And
I
apparently,
just think it's going to be a bit weird.
and I'm hearing as well,
Sus that he was there before.
and I'm hearing Roderick Strong might also.
he's going 205.
but he'll also be going on Raw to be with 205 Live's roster.
Yeah, no shit. But that's
they
still 205.
haven't been on Raw for 2 weeks.
Yeah, Triple H taking it. Yeah, because I
Ever
think
since-
they're going to peg it as its own gimmick now.
It has to be.
It has to be,
That's for his
right?
own show.
I think they like of any.
With Triple H running it, I think it can be really good. So saying at the end of the day these guys are going to 205 isn't the worst thing in the world, right? Like
yeah, but like Gargano should be on the main.
Gargano should be on there. So should
Hell
Ciampa,
yeah.
right? But like someone like
Yeah.
Roderick Strong can make 205 legit, like in
He
terms
can.
of wrestling.
As
Right.
long as it, like Hideo hangs around, which that's up in the air as
I think
well.
he's dipping. And now they got Murphy on that. Like Murphy's legit.
Okay. Who wins the Dusty Classic? I'm calling TM61 right now.
I think so as well.
They're pushing him. Have you seen on the
I low-key wanted to say Authors of Pain, but
No, the latest match they were in, they have got rid of all pretense. They put the Mighty back on their trunks. I'm down for that.
Same here.
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
all
like
right.
one
You
of the biggest.
give the Australians the rub.
Yeah, well, it's like one of the biggest factions going like in Australia is the Mighty Don't Kneel, and that was those two guys were like the big part of that faction that got moved on.
And they have been there for a while. I'd like to see them get the rub.
And like TM61 is such a stupid goddamn name.
Also because
Just call them the Mighty. It's fine.
both unfortunately too were
Oh, was that what the TM was?
yeah
The Mighty?
yeah
the
Mighty.
Mighty.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
And do you know what the 6-1 is?
Our
What?
area code.
It's our dumb international code. You know at the start
the
of our,
+61.
+61, yeah.
yeah.
How dumb of a name is that though?
Low key though, because I'm only just hearing it.
the Mighty-
I'm marking.
The Mighty 61.
I'm marking.
Yeah.
That's low key pretty.
But no, when I went to
pretty inventive.
what did I go to last year? House of Hardcore. There was a guy in one of the faction in part of the Mighty Don't Kneel faction at the show, and he did a loser leaves the country match against someone.
Loser leaves the country.
Yeah, no, legit, like loser leaves the country match. And he
Your
was
citizenship rides on this wrestling.
Yeah,
match.
yeah.
We
exactly.
extend over the federal government.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
Peter Dunn is ready
this
to take you to the detention center and ship you out.
This is Tommy Dreamer, mate. You don't fuck with Tommy Dreamer. He was part of the Mighty Don't Kneel faction. Lost the match, and I'm pretty sure that he was like off to the States to go to like the next round of
makes sense, yeah, but,
WWE
like,
tryouts.
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure keep your eyes peeled. There might be another Aussie bloke coming through the NXT ranks pretty soon because this bloke was amazing in the ring. Very, very good heel. Kind of reminded me of Pete Dunne a bit. So I'm just like I'm looking out for him. I'm trying to remember what the hell his name was, but if it pops up on NXT, I'm gonna recognize it. So keep an eye out for that. But like, it's like a little mini faction that's starting to form within NXT. Is like the Aussies.
The Aussies,
and
man.
I'm loving it.
Get
It's
the
great.
Iconic up there.
It's great. So the more names you bring up about Aussie wrestlers,
the better.
yeah, it's just like
Confirmed. Billy Kay got a boob job. By the way,
Speaking
Oh,
I just wanted to point it out there.
Speaking of Aussie wrestling,
Keep going.
I got to drop this anyway
Yeah,
because the promotion I work for, APW's Boiling Point.
oh.
I'm sorry. Are they sponsoring us or?
No,
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
pointing out
Can
there.
we get
why
them to
not?
sponsor us?
Can they sponsor us?
Hopefully, yes.
That'd be cool.
Because APW Boiling Point, March 17th, down at the Cranbourne Indoor Sports Centre, is their first event of 2018. Sid Parker will be in action that night, so a big draw card for Australian wrestling there, or especially our wrestling company as well, that Sid Parker is going to be headlining APW Boiling Point.
Good moment.
Very good moments. Also,
Sponsored but not sponsored.
Yeah.
Sponsored but not
So
sponsored.
they get a massive plug because they're legends and everyone down there knows what they're doing, which is good.
There you go. That's how you grease up the
Also
sponsorship.
because I'm a
Michael.
ring announcer down there.
That's how
so-
you grease up the sponsorship.
And I might be commentating the Boiling Point.
That is not fair.
Event.
That is not. You know how vocal I am about being a commentator.
Yeah.
Please,
I just...
APW, if you're listening, seriously, I got good bands.
But
I won't swear. I won't swear.
So that's why I can't do it because I can't be trusted not to swear. I will swear.
Oh no! Look, I'm giving you the this is my promise, but not my promise.
Yeah.
Like I got my fingers crossed on pinky swearing. Look, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna swear. But I'm sorry if you hit a spot and I hit you a fuck. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You gonna blame me? Like,
no.
are we televised?
All right.
Come on.
So now we'll move on to like Raw, SmackDown, because we're speaking about
Yes.
NXT.
Yeah, we've gone through.
I'd like to believe that if WWE wasn't PG, that we would have a little bit more shits. Like some commentators would be like, "Oh, did you fucking see that?" Like that'd be so sick. That'd be so
It's
sick.
not going to happen.
I know, but
mate.
that'd be so sick.
Hell no.
Unfortunately, APW is family friendly, so swearing's not warranted.
See, no good, mate. No good. But if you're Brock Lesnar, you can do it live on television. I don't give a shit about your kids.
That was brutal.
That's so good. Yeah, Raw happened this week. Seth Rollins, I love you so much. You're a sexy man.
The Iron
and
Man.
I want to have your children.
Monday
and
night rolling.
He has. I think it was like early last year or something. Back when What Culture was good, when the boys were there, they released like the 10. They wanted the 100 best wrestlers of all time, and they wanted people who watch What Culture to give their 10 best. And I put down in my list Seth Rollins at number 7, best of all time.
All time.
Yep.
What?
What? Yeah, I know. Of all the wrestlers I could put down, like HBK was number 1, of course. But on my top 10 list, even back then, a couple of years ago, this was like sort of at the tail end of him just coming back from his injury.
Of all time.
I put him at number 7 of all time.
In the
history.
In this 60 years.
In the history of professional wrestling, of televised and widely
And
distributed
he is
professional
the
wrestling,
7th.
I put him down because
Who did he beat at number 8?
I don't want to say this.
Who did he beat?
Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho.
Okay, I'm
I
happy.
put Jericho at 8.
I'm happy.
Fuck you, man. I put down Jericho at 8.
He's 16 spots too high, in my opinion.
Oh, fuck off. No, I will not have that.
What was it?
But I put down Seth at number 7, and not because it's like I want to like
Was it
retroactively
gonna
revisit this
say,
list
yeah.
in 10 years' time
Yeah.
because he is so
That is
fucking good.
Yeah, that is only
He's
acceptable when it's like
and he's
future
the only
planning.
guy in that gauntlet match that I'm just like the company would go to and go, "Hey Seth, we need you to do an hour," and he would be like, "Yeah, no worries."
You don't think Finn could do that?
I think Finn could do it, but I don't think he's at the point where
Sorry,
the company.
49 minutes was it in the Rumble match?
Yeah, I know, but I don't think he's at the point where the company would trust him yet to do
Yeah,
that.
you're right.
But Seth has proved himself in the Indies, coming up through the ranks, through FCW,
Oh, no, 100%, I agree.
through NXT. Now he had that amazing run with not amazing run. He won the belt in an amazing way, and then had a pretty mediocre run with the belt.
Oh, I thought he had a pretty good run, considering all the runs at the time.
Too much J&J security crap. For
Yeah,
me.
you're
It
right.
was annoying.
And then what? He didn't have a feud
1
with
hour.
Kane
If you
and,
put
like-
his Royal Rumble from this year and the match on Raw, an hour and 58 minutes put together,
Yeah.
he was in the ring for, which is
in-
impeccable.
Did you
Absolute
see
marathon,
the?
At this point in time, it's
He's
absolutely
just-
impeccable.
Wait. The stat was it the stat I put up that Reigns was in Rollins was in that match for an hour 5, yeah?
Yep.
Hour 5. It's 3 minutes longer than Brock Lesnar has spent since Mania in the ring.
That is
God
ridiculous.
Since Mania.
But yeah, no, he's just awesome. He's just so goddamn good at everything he does. And I think based on the amount of time they gave him in the Rumble and then the amount of time they give him here, I know they want Reigns to win the goddamn belt at WrestleMania, and he's probably going to do it. But goddamn it, if they're not going to strap a rocket on Rollins after the WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, I reckon you get a Reigns
They're
Rollins
just biding.
feud
They're biding
immediately.
their time. They're just like, okay, we've committed to Reigns. Let's just get it over and done with. Like, this is the year the Reigns experiment ends.
Yeah.
One way or another. One way or another. He's going to win that belt, and the crowd is just going to absolutely revolt again. Or, this is my big prediction. I've been wanting this ever since WrestleMania 31. The match he put on with Brock Lesnar that night was fucking incredible. I will stand by up until that point.
Are you saying that Seth Rollins ruined it?
No. I'm saying it turned what would be a 4.5-star match for me into a 5-star match. But the match that Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns were having was I reckon the best match that Reigns has had in the ring, and one of the best matches Brock has had since his return to WWE.
No one out here is doubting that Brock and Reigns are not going to put on a good match.
And I have wanted to see a sequel to that for a very long time.
They're going to put on a good match.
I hope it's as physical as it was the first time around. I hope there's blood like there was the first time around, because that added that extra element to the match.
A recent report came out that they're not going to have any blood on the show.
But apparently that was Hardway. Apparently that was... There was a rumor that it was actually...
Hardway, softway capsule, it's still booked, right?
Yeah.
If there's unbooked blood, obviously you can't do anything about that, but the idea is there's not going to be any booked blood.
Well, of course not, but like Brock has the skin of an 80-year-old man. It's that thin and brittle.
Yeah, and I guess like
it doesn't matter what happens.
He'd argue
he
like
bleeds.
he hit me. Like,
yeah, well,
in Brock Lesnar's voice, he hit me, like
It's like Ric Flair as well. Not too much sort of happened towards the latter part of Raw that really stood out, except for the gauntlet match.
2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours.
What for 2 hours?
Which was
just
amazing.
I loved it. It was fantastic. Having Braun win, obviously, because he's not going to win this Sunday. Good for him.
Allegedly.
He's not going to win.
Reigns
is going to win. Of course Roman Reigns is going to win.
That's your pick.
We'll get to picks in a second. But of course he's going to win.
SmackDown, another solid. I thought it was solid.
It's
SmackDown.
It's solid for like this era of SmackDown, but like you look 8-9 months ago, these are weak shows.
Yeah.
These are weak shows. I don't know what is going on. Road Dogg, get your shit together. Get someone better on the booking.
Said it before. Once they moved the writers over and they closed Talking SmackDown, it went trash. It went so
man,
trash.
Talking Smack was the best. Bring it back.
I don't understand the gimmick booking behind that. Like, why did they close that down? Because they wanted to have Raw as they wanted to...
Well, no, because they stuck 205 Live on the end of SmackDown.
Fuck.
And then they moved Talking Smack to the fourth hour, essentially, of SmackDown. And it's like, well, no one's hanging around for that.
And now we'll quickly go through, because we're almost out of time as well. Elimination Chamber.
Predictions.
Okay.
You load me up the match card.
I've got the match card right here. All right. Pre-show, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson versus the Revival.
Revival.
Gallows and Anderson. Because why not? Raw Tag Team Championship, The Bar versus Titus Worldwide.
Titus Worldwide, boys!
Featuring Apollo. Not Apollo Crews, just Apollo.
I hate that.
Yeah, me too. It sucks.
I think the Bar's going to win.
Nah, bro. It's Titus time, man.
You're going Titus Worldwide?
It's Titus Worldwide. Are we putting anything on this? Because otherwise I'm just doing gimmick booking, right? What I want to see. But if we're going to have a little something riding on the line.
We will work out something towards the end of the year.
Are we going to have a belt?
You have a belt.
You want me to put up my... No, I'm not putting up my belt. I'm not putting up my belt.
We'll get another belt.
We'll make a belt. Australian Mania belt.
Done.
That'd be tight.
Okay, we'll get a belt.
Good.
We'll get the belt. All right, so we're gimmick booking. It's Titus Worldwide, baby.
You want Titus? All right, fair enough.
All right, fair enough.
I'm going the Bar.
I'm going the Bar as well.
God, yeah, do safe booking more, yeah? Jobbers.
The Bar.
Yep.
The Bar. Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt.
I literally don't care if that could end in a count out. Like
Matt Hardy's going to win this match.
Matt Hardy will get it, but like
only for one reason.
Jeff, come back
to extend the feud.
We are going to see the debut of Rebby, King Maxwell, and Senor Benjamin at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. They are going to come.
What? But Brother Nero, you don't think he's ready?
He's still a couple of weeks away.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah.
Just to show up.
He showed up at Raw 25 in a sling. I mean, he can show up here.
Yeah.
Just show up. That's the gimmick.
Only because Jeremy Borash and Matt Hardy and apparently Jeremy Borash and Triple H are currently working on the Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt WrestleMania match, which is going to happen at the Hardy compounds.
All right.
Yeah, I guess that's a good gimmick, but at the same time, I don't give a shit about this match.
No, me either.
I go Matt Hardy.
Yeah, Matt Hardy. Oscar versus Nia Jax. Pretty obvious.
Oscar.
Next one. I want to say Nia, but Oscar.
Oscar's going to win.
Next.
Ronda Rousey signs her Raw contract.
Yep.
I want a prediction. Who comes out to interrupt, and does someone go through a table?
Steph goes through a table. Other than that, I just think it's going to be a basic bitch contract signing.
I think Steph's going to go through a table, and I think Rousey's going to put Triple H in an armbar.
I don't even think Triple H will be there.
I think he will be there.
I think he will be there.
Because Rousey's going to put it through a table. Triple H is going to.
Ah, true. You know what?
Triple H is going to come out, snap at Rousey. Rousey's going to slap.
Oh, do you reckon Kurt Angle gets in there and hits the angle slam?
I think
that basically confirms the match.
I think Rousey's going to clothesline Triple H and then put him in an armbar, and then referees and security are going to have to try and get it off Triple H.
Okay, good moment. Yeah,
I think that Steph goes through a table, and I think depending on the order of how these matches lay out, if the Elimination Chamber is up early in the night, the men's one, I think Braun comes out because I still think that's the match.
Nah, if we're going with that, I say Seth comes out, but
I say Kurt comes out.
So Braun, Kurt, Seth.
Braun, Kurt.
I want to say Kurt, but if we're going to do a gimmick entrance,
you're going to go Seth.
I'm going Seth, right?
So Braun, Seth, Kurt.
I'm going Angle.
All right.
And then we might as well go to the Elimination Chamber matches.
Women's.
Do you want to do the men's first? Because I think the women's is going to be the last
Oh,
match.
Roman Reigns. Because obviously he's going to win.
Who are the first 3 people you think are going to start inside the chamber?
So how they do it? So they starting
Finn,
with a triple threat
Miz, and they've got to confirm that it's a triple. There's no way they're making a separate.
No,
cage.
it's a triple threat. So basically 3 superstars start.
They're not making a separate cage with a 7th.
No,
So have it at like the top of the cage, so that it's like a trap door, and then
that'd be tight.
the last person. So who's the last person? Elias.
Yeah. Elias
has to be in that one. And then it opens up like a trapdoor, and he just drops onto everyone.
Do you know what I think Elias is going to do for things?
Or he could like just hang outside the cage.
Oh, then just let him in.
Yeah. He just like loiters outside and is busking to the crowd and just earning money while the match is going on, and he's just like talking and chatting, and just like singing songs about how shitty what town are they in? They're in Vegas. Oh, perfect. He's out there doing show tunes, like ripping on Britney Spears and Celine Dion the entire time. And just like singing and busking, and then he gets let into the cage.
You have such an early 2000 understanding of Vegas.
I don't care.
Do you know what?
Chris Angel. He can say how shit Chris Angel is.
Do you know? I actually think that's going to happen. I think Elias is going to he's going to be the one talking throughout the match, singing.
Oh no shit! But he'll be in a pod.
Yeah,
right. It's a triple threat. It's a triple threat start.
Just literally have him busk. No, have him come out first. Set up his busking thing at the gate of the chamber. And every other entrant has to pass him, and he's just going to give be busking, and then give them that really you're a piece of shit human being look when they don't put any money in his hat.
Oh, that'd be tight. You know what?
That.
All right.
Main event, which we all think is the main event.
No, I didn't get my booking.
Oh, so Reigns?
I say gimmick finish. Gimmick finish.
Yeah, I think Reigns, just to be on the safe side.
Reigns and Strowman.
Let's do main events.
You get that? What was it? Cena Shawn Michaels match where they both fell on each other and double pinfall or something?
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, Reigns and Strowman.
They already did a bloody gimmick pin not that long ago when you had Seth and
If this
Finn
match is starting the show,
Miz.
standard booking says that there's going to be a gimmick finish.
Yeah, you probably whatever. And final match:
Bliss, Bayley, Rose, James, Banks, DeVille.
Banks.
I think Banks, and I think Bayley. I think it's going to be a double turn.
I say Banks wins. I do not see Alexa Bliss going into Mania.
I think
with
Banks
the belt.
wins.
I do that.
But I think Banks is going to turn heel and Bliss is going to turn face. And I'll tell you why. I think that...
Oh, Bliss would not run as a face.
Only for one reason. I think because...
The whole thing with her and Mickie James is weird.
Sasha Banks, I think, is going to pin...
Bayley?
I think... No, she's going to pin... I think Bliss is going to piss off Sasha Banks. And I think that... what's going to happen is Bliss is going to be one of the first women out of that...
Oh, yes!
And what's going to happen is... Banks is going to get so mad, she's going to keep attacking Alexa Bliss. The fans are going to start booing Sasha Banks. Bayley comes over. Banks then slaps Bayley, attacks her, puts her in the Banks statement, and she taps as well. And the fans just start booing Banks. And then once Banks wins that women's championship, she's going to leave Vegas, and people are just going to be booing the shit out of her.
I agree.
Which will lead...
At the end of the day, though...
Which will lead to a triple threat match at WrestleMania 34. Bliss, Banks, Bayley. Because I think Asuka's going to SmackDown to take on Charlotte.
I think that's pretty much a lock at this point.
But I think it'll be a triple threat match for the Women's Championship.
Agreed. I say Bayley wins. I say Banks wins that, though. I got Sasha Banks coming out of the Chamber as champion.
But I think it'll be a double turn. I think Bliss will turn face and Banks will turn heel.
In saying that, though, I think Bayley... I still think Banks goes over at Mania, though. Regardless of whether she wins here or not, Banks goes over at Mania.
It is sort of hard to choose because Alexa Bliss... Pretty much since, it was Payback last year. So one pay-per-view removed from WrestleMania, aside from an 8-day Sasha Banks reign, she's held that belt for nearly a year now.
No, she's at 160 something.
You know, but she lost it for 8 days. But she had it either side of that 8 days.
Oh, yeah.
So she's had it since April 30th.
I know.
And then all the way through till pretty much WrestleMania.
I don't think she's a good champion.
I think she's gotten way better than what she was.
Agreed, but I still don't think she's a good champion.
But that's the thing. Like, if Bliss isn't the champion coming out of this, what do Sasha Banks and Bayley do for WrestleMania? Whether they go in just a grudge match, which I would be okay with.
Yeah.
But them for the title is such a much bigger thing. And then have, say, Alexa face
versus Nia
Jax just as a thing.
Yeah.
But then maybe like Mickey James in Alexa's corner, and then
Apollo, rather. Oh, sorry.
Well,
boys.
in Nia Jax's corner.
Yeah. Let's get some Titus Worldwide up in that.
Yeah, okay. Look, whatever.
I think we're done here.
Yeah,
Banks is coming out of the chamber as champion.
I'm going to back Alexa Bliss in.
All right, fair enough.
I'm going to back her to retain.
I really hope Bliss is the first one out. I want to be with you on this one, Michael.
Thanks. And that's us done.
We are?
For now,
all right, cool. You can follow us at Australiamania, at STRAYAMANIA on all forms of social media. We also have Facebook now. I have posted there once this week. Go to Australiamania Podcasts. Once again, STRAYAMANIA. Podcast on Facebook. Search, go there, like us. I'll post up both the audio and video because we're on YouTube again. Links to this episode and all subsequent episodes will also be there as well. And if you want, you can leave us a comment or something. I don't know how Facebook pages work. But we're posting stuff up there from us, so look out for that. You can follow me at Ricki Needs, at RICKINEEDS on all forms of social media.
I just want my Snapchat to put out there.
Yep.
I really just want my Snapchat to be
Done.
pushed.
Plug your Snapchat then.
Just suss me on Snapchat, people. Seriously, David Yang 24, YANG is Yang. All right, David Yang 24. Seriously, you're missing out on potentially the greatest Snapchat in the Southern Hemisphere.
Done and done.
It's
and
okay.
I just want to plug Snapchat.
And I'm at Tom Media, THOMMOMEDIA. Also, by the way, guys, no spoilers because I'm going in for surgery on my anterior cruciate ligament on Monday either. So I'll be maybe a day or two delayed for Raw, SmackDown, and the Elimination Chamber. So I'm actually going to be showing up all forms of social. I won't be on Twitter at all from Monday through to Wednesday until I've seen Chamber and Raw and SmackDown.
Good moment. Just before we go, I want to petition that this podcast be named Chris Jericho's Just a Better Miz.
No. We're done.
I get to name the podcast around here, boy.
Okay, but I'm telling you to name it Chris Jericho's better than Miz.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Chris, did you say Chris Jericho's better than Miz?
There's only a slightly
You
better
did.
Miz. There's only a slightly better Miz.
Piece of
We'll
shit.
catch you later.
Bye.